All right. It's conference champ week, and we get another shot. I like these smaller slates. Gives me kind of an opportunity to be able to play some different stuff. Um, 2-game slate's not my favorite. 3-game slate, me. 4 and 5 is kind of a sweet spot. That's where you get those late night action. But you're going to have to be dialed. That's where single entry kind of comes in here. I recommend the single entry because you're going to have to be dang near perfect and find like a lower percentage owned play. And this is one of those spots where when you get a Kennesaw on the slate, you get a Jack State on the slate, there's going to be extreme high ownership on certain guys. There's going to be opportunities to take stances and be able to make some differences here. So let's start this thing out with Jacksonville State, Kennesaw State. These two teams played a few weeks ago, not too long ago. So we kind of have a data point here. And a lot of people are just going to kind of look at that game and infer exactly what they want to do. I don't necessarily know that it translates fully, especially considering Jack State won and now they're a dog in this game. Total in this one, 58.5, 30 points for Kennesaw, 28.5 for Jack State. This one was previously 35-26 with Jack State coming out on top. Game control in that one was basically turnover based that gave Jack State that lead. Kennesaw had a legit shot in that one. So looking at the pricing right out the gate, makes a lot of sense. Amari Odom split time earlier this season due to injury and or bad play. In this Jack State game, he threw 3 picks. He's extremely mobile, so he has a high ceiling. Throws the ball actually better than you would expect, better than Caden Creel does. With a 30-point team total, you're going to have to consider Odom given his upside and his floor. A lot of this middle portion of the year right here, he was really banged up, and then he was splitting time because Dexter Williams is so good. Now, the $1 million question is going to be is if he struggles, does he get a quick hook? It's possible. So I think it is some risky, but he should have some lower ownership because of that. And maybe you're able to take advantage because of that situation. And he's got plenty of ceiling, though. I mean, look at all the rushing touchdown equity. He's got 3 or more passing touchdowns in every game, 3 of the last 4, sans that Jack State game. I think that does give you some capability to be able to get some leverage on the field in this spot. And this team gives it up and gets it. I do think Jack State probably wins this game, though, but that's just my opinion. Jack State's been living dangerous of late. So is Kennesaw. Caden Creel. Caden Creel's going to be far more popular than Amari Odom. He's got 100 yards rushing in 4 straight. He's throwing the ball moderately okay. He's more of the runner in this bunch. So this offense is fully run-based, not dissimilar to last year's team where they had Trace Stewart and Tyler Huff, I want to say. So, and I'm pretty sure Jack State was in this game last year. Let me see. I'm pretty sure it was Tyler Huff who had the monster game a year ago. Let's see. He had a monster in that title game, I'm pretty sure. No, it was the running back at the monster. Yeah. No, it was. Yeah, he had 167-1 on the ground, 176-2 through the air in the conference title game against Western Kentucky when they played them back-to-back. And then Trace Stewart had a freaking crazy game. Yeah, 201-3. Yeah, not that it matters this year, but new coaching staff, new players. But yeah, I would say Caden Creel is going to be far more popular than Amari Odom. Caden Creel is not going to get benched for Gavin Wimsatt. Gavin Wimsatt sucks. So I would say Creel is far more likely to garner ownership than Odom. So we're going to have to factor that in. But both guys need to be in play given their rushing upside. Odom has far more passing upside than Creel, but Creel's rushing is insane. Now, from a upside standpoint, I think playing Odom at lower ownership with Cam Cook. Cam Cook's going to be 90% owned. He's the first guy that's going to need to be in a team more than likely at 8K, because the running backs on this slate come down to there's really two monsters and then a bunch of other guys. But there's plenty of opportunity for big plays across the board that you can get different. But Cook is just an absolute stud. He's going to run for 100 plus. He's going to get a touchdown on the ground. He'll be involved a little bit in the pass game. I would lean Cook. I know I'm going to end up getting the blade again because of the other guy in the later game that we're going to talk about. But golly, it's hard to pass Cam Cook at 8K, depending on what the price of the other guy is. I'm imagining he doesn't change very much from the 10K he was a week ago. But yeah, I think you can play Creel with Cook in that matchup earlier this season. We had both go for more than 100. Creel went for 127 and 2. Cook 132 and 1. You're going to be hard pressed to not be able to play both guys. I think both guys together is interesting. I just think more people go with Creel with the other big time back over Cam Cook. This is going to be a slate where you're just going to jam guys in. I mean, just find the best producers. It's something that I've struggled with over the years. I will say I tend to try to build, my mind says to build the balanced lineup that gets me the most possibility to score points, and it's more of the projection based. And I need to start playing more where I just jam guys in, which is what I've started trying to do this year. It's what I did on that Saturday night slate the other day, where I just jammed everybody in and then said, okay, I'm good enough to find a guy at 3K that I think scores. It didn't work out in the afternoon slate because I played Cole Spence. He got 0. In the night slate, it worked out perfectly. I ended up playing K-Ron Adams, a guy that's barely played for Cal this year, and he went 5 for 65 and a touchdown at 3.1K. So when you're going to win the slate, it's going to be based off of that. It's not going to be based off of going, oh, well, I can't afford Cam Cook and other guys. I'm going to play, Coleman Bennett and hope that he gets me 20. Like, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Bennett does not get enough carries. This is more of a pass-based team to an extent, but they split the work up enough that it's going to be a bit of a deal when you get Belcher in there for double-digit carries, touches. You get Diggs in there for a couple carries. So I'm probably going to avoid Coleman Bennett personally, and I will lean towards the Cam Cook side, and I would rather play Kennesaw through the pass game. Speaking of that pass game, Gabriel Benyard is going to be the top option in this offense. He is the very clear alpha. They get him involved in the run game. They get him involved in the pass game. He's got 74 or more receiving yards each of his last 4. You're hard pressed. If you're going game stack, I think you go Benyard and Odom at lower ownership more than likely, because there's going to be so many other pieces to be able to pay up for. I might start trying to play 20 max in this slate. This actually is playing out pretty good. Christian Moss is the very clear number 2 option at 4,400. Good lineup filler in that sense. Good. You could go double stack if he throws for 300. It's well in play. I don't particularly love many of these other options. Granted, Kopic here has come on strong over the last month of the season, albeit very buoyed by the touchdowns that he's been able to get. You could slap him in. I don't think it's a bad play to slap him in. His ownership's probably going to come in a little more than I would prefer, given that how he's played over the last season. But he's the realistic third option in this team. I think his ownership comes in pretty high because of his points per game and his price tag in the spot. So looking at the Jack State's wide receivers, it's kind of interesting. So DeAndre Johnson probably comes in really heavily owned. He's priced fairly low for a guy. He's priced very low for a guy who scored in 5 straight. So what makes him special, we'll call it, is he's 6'8" and plays wide receiver. So he's an absolute matchup nightmare. And the fact that he has 77 or more yards in 4 of those 5, he's come on extremely strong over the latter part of the season. Oh, man. That does make things interesting. Because I think that most lineups are going to be probably that pairing. And then maybe they ignore Jack State, or I mean, Kennesaw, or maybe they go here to get in the big boys on the other stuff. So there's a couple ways to play it. There's definitely a couple ways to play it. I think the lower owned way to play this is to go with the game stack version is definitely to go with that, and probably even that, and game stack it that way. So that's your game stack, in my guess. Now you could easily just go Creole and say, all right, we're going full game stack. I think that's reasonable. I might do that. I might do one of these as well. I think you're going to need that in order to win 20 max. So you're going to have to play some crazy stuff like that in order to get it done. But yeah, those are the realistic options in that game. All right. Troy taking on James Madison. Obviously, I am in a state of sadness and sorrow with Bob Chesney leaving and going to UCLA. I think it's personally stupid, but that's my opinion. The fact is that this is not necessarily a Signetti in the bowl game type deal where everybody's gone. Barnett has to be 1,000% in play. He's running the football well. He can throw and access upside through the air. I mean, look at this Old Dominion game. That's insane. A 62-pointer. That's up there with the best games of the season for any player. I don't think we see 100 yards rushing in this spot. I think it's more of the 30 with 1 on the ground, and he probably throws for 200, 250. I mean, they could easily. It's a home game, so they're going to be able to beat the snot out of. I don't think you can have any semblance of wanting to play Goose Crowder. So I'm going to ignore the Troy pass quarterback. I would ignore the Troy running game because JMU is absolutely stout as can be on the ground, like stopping the run. And you better hope you get points in the first half because they do not give up anything in the second half. They have more often than not this entire season not given up any points in the second half of the game. They make insane adjustments. Wayne Knight's going to be your top back. He's more likely to get 15 carries. I don't know how much I love the play at 6,600. Mallory tends to come in late and is the closer, but Petaway is healthy. So Fuller's banged up. He's more of the short yardage guy. Petaway is more of your long speed guy. He was on the field a little bit more last week. He'd been banged up for most of the season. And then Adai's been banged up all season. So I don't know what the deal is going to be with him. I would say Mallory's got a shot to find the box here. If this game gets out of hand a little bit, Mallory's going to be a great value play at 4.4. Wayne Knight's going to be your main culprit, though. He's the guy who catches balls out of the backfield. He's explosive. He's very Sproulsy in size, and he's going to be your main runner. So if I'm going to take shots on him, that's fine. Barnett at 7.4 just feels cheap. So I do have interest in Barnett in that spot. You don't have to play him stacked. Landon Ellis has been banged up. Will he play? Won't he play? He has the one big game. I'm not particularly all that interested at 5K. It's a little more than I'd want to play. Sanchez been a little bit more on the outside, kind of Not my favorite play either. Hmm. If I was playing a JMU receiver, there's two guys I would take shots on right now. I wish Alston played more, but big body threat. He's just not the guy you think he is. I think I would take shots on DeGennaro if I was going to. Um, he's probably the number one option when Sanchez or when if Ellis isn't playing. And then Wislowski's been playing a lot more touchdown based, but he's been taking shots. His touchdown last week was a little fluky. It was an underthrown ball. He came back to and just out athleted the defender who was trying to get there. But I don't think you have to play them stacked. You can. I don't think that you have to though. They have value options clearly with DeGennaro and Wislowski. Wislowski also your return man. He was an all Big Ten return guy. So you have the possibility that he just returns a punt or a kick for a touchdown. Gives you a little bit more flexibility in that spot to be able to get something out of your guy. I think DeGennaro's could be the most popular of the bunch, though. All right. DJ Epps is fine. I'm not super interested in Epps personally. He's probably he's got 14 catches over the last 2 weeks, which is useful. He does play on the outside. He's not my personal favorite in this spot. We're JMU's pretty stout on the outside. It wouldn't be my favorite option, especially at 4.6K. I would prefer, if I was taking a shot, to come down to I buy the talent of Ra Thomas. He finally showed it and popped last week. If I was going to take a shot, it would be on Ra at 3.8 or the slot receiver Trey Taylor at 3.3. He's going to get more target volume over the middle of the field. I would lean to one of those two. I probably am taking Epps out of my pool. I'm more interested in them. I'm not going to play the tight end at 3.8. That's just not happening because he's not going to do anything. If I'm taking shots, it's going to have to be a big play. Ra's the big play for me. And then Taylor is going to get more of the volume. Dang, is that PJ? No, it's Peyton Higgins. I'm not super interested in that either. I would prefer Taylor or Really, Ra's the number one for me. If I was going to take a shot, I don't think you need to play a Troy wide receiver or a Troy anything. Personally, if I was playing anything out of this game, I'm probably going to play Barnett stacked with like a DeGennaro or a Wislowski as a final piece in. But that's I don't love that game overall. I don't mind playing Wayne Knight though, or Joby Mallory as a salary saving running back for sure. All right, we get the big boy game here. Tulane taking on North Texas. 67.5 over under, 35, 32.5. Just screams shootout. But it screams shootout because of North Texas. But I think the under hits in this one. I don't know why. I don't think that score feels way too large for this game. Jake Retzloff, 7.2K. He's going to be extremely popular. That's a cheap price tag for his upside. I don't expect him to throw for 300 yards in this spot, but I do expect him to run for 60. He's very hot and cold. Very hot and cold. So I would say 20 points should be your expectation. He's going to hit 3x. He'll be very popular. Mestamaker at 7.8. I mean, y'all know I'm going to end up taking shots on Mestamaker. And I think you could very easily do that and that because of the rushing for Retzloff. Now the question becomes, do you want to pay 10.5K for Caleb Hawkins? Last week, I didn't want to pay 10K for him. He gave me the blade. If I'm building one team, I think he's going to be extremely popular. In single entry, I probably take a fade stance. Because, like, in this situation, I probably fade him, trusting the two-lane run defense. I'm not going to play any two-lane running backs, so don't even try to think about it. They split carries. There's splits everywhere. 8.1K for Wyatt Young is just too much, man. I would prefer to play the two-lane matchup through North Texas's pass game. I mean, Dorner did not get a price increase. He's too cheap. I still want to do that. Y'all know I love Miles Coleman, but I probably won't. I don't know. I'm debating it. He was on the field a lot more than I expected last week, I will say. Trey Williams, I mean, he gets a little bit of run, but I'm not super interested. Landon Sides, I would call him the number 3, but it looks like Coleman's kind of taken over that number 3 role. I'm probably more interested in Coleman of anybody outside of Dorner and Young. Dorner being the top play, I would play Dorner unstacked. He's pretty good. He's pretty good. He gets enough volume. He's on the field enough. I might play something like this as a game stack. I don't think I trust any two-lane wide receiver. They rotate so much. I mean, Shaz Preston's probably the top guy, but at 4.7, there's a stark contrast between Dorner and that's good volume for Brown Stevens, but like Bohannon's meh. Amari Hayes is usually the guy I like to go to, but the volume hasn't been there. So I don't think I trust him at all. I think I would avoid two-lane pass catchers overall, personally. Maybe a shot on Preston. Maybe I can't do it. I want to do it, but I can't do it. I just think it's bad process there. So I think this is a fun little play to game stack this one. And then that way you're able to get your 8K running backs in. But yeah, I think a lot of people are just going to end up with Hawkins personally. And I'll try to jam him in some, but I don't think it's going to be something that I go overboard on in this spot. Knowing me, I don't know. I don't like paying that much, but I'm going to need to in some spots. And then we get UNLV against Boise State, the game the computers decided, aka the front office said was the best one. 58.5 in this one, another high total. 31 for Boise, 27.5 for UNLV. Maddox Madsen is supposed to return. That will make things interesting. So, with Madsen back at 6.6, I don't think he can do it. I mean, I want to do it. That's the problem. Like, I want to do it, but if you're going to give me Calandria, why is it clicking on Cam for you? If you're giving me Calandria at 7K, like, it feels like most teams are going to start like this. Like, this is how most teams are going to start. Either that or it's going to be Barnett and Retzlaff and Calandria. It's going to be one of those two or Barnett. Like that, those three are going to be extremely popular. So if you want to get different, don't play those three because Calandria is mobile enough and throws the ball well enough. Depending, maybe the weather ends up being terrible in that game. I don't know, but that screams like Madsen goes unowned, obviously, which he should more than likely, but he has the capability to pop. Mestamaker's going to go under-owned because everybody's going to play Hawkins. And then these two cats are priced the heck up in comparison. They're 1,000 more. So, like, Creel and Odom are going to end up garnering zero ownership, basically. I wonder if a lot of builds do not go Calandria and let's say Calandria Barnett, just because with these two. And then they just say, I'm going to make it work. I think that ends up being very popular, personally. I think that ends up being a very popular way to play this. Running back wise in this spot, I'm not playing Riley. I can't. There's too much of a split. It's too likely to go bad. He doesn't have the upside at 72. He is nowhere near the upside of Cam Cook at 8K. It's not close. He should be in the sixes, no doubt about it. Jaden Thomas, like the player, massive ceiling, not enough touches. Very explosive, but not enough touches for me taking on a Boise State team. Not at 7K. I'd prefer Cook. Just pay up for Cook. Gaines, I like a lot, but he's prone to terrible stuff. I do think he's a good play. At 6'3", it's hard not to just pay for Wayne Knight at that point. Like, it feels like Wayne Knight is a better play than this whole bunch, and Cam Cook's a better spend up. So if I'm not, like, I would rather just pay for those guys around here. One of these Boise guys is going to do some business, probably, because this UNLV defense sucks. But they just split work. Like, Sherrod could come in and just vulture you, at 4.7. I might take some shots on Sherrod if I need a 4.7 guy in that spot, if I don't have Dorner, because, like, Dorner's obviously the one of the best plays in the slate at that price. And then you end up with, you could take a shot on a JMU guy, but let's just say from this standpoint, I think a lot of people go to Johnson here, more than likely, or Kopic. I think Kopic or Johnson at 4K. And then you end up in that 4.5 range. You could go Moss. But then now you're kind of double stacking. So I think you probably end up with you could end up with a Troy guy, but now that we got Dorner. But yeah, you could go with like a DeGennaro. Trying to think what people will do. Well, I think everybody's going to end up wanting a UNLV wideout. Now, the question is, Bradley's the unquestioned one, Jaden Bradley. He just doesn't have the ceiling, and they rotate guys so much. His floor is great. Don't get me wrong. If you want guaranteed production, but he's not winning you this slate. It's just the touchdowns aren't there. The upside from 100 yards isn't there. I don't love Caples. He's safe as well. I would rather take shots on Chris Marshall than Caples. Marshall, to me, has more upside to win you a slate. And then Louder is just all floor. No ceiling. There's too many other guys in that range that I'd rather play. The question is, who is the guy that's cheap for UNLV that scores points? O'Meary's been coming on strong. He's on the field. I'll say that. Day Reynolds, not necessarily on the field. I played Day Reynolds in the, there was a game, what's that, 11-8 was that game? Yep. I played him in the Colorado State game, got 0 catches. So he gave me the blade there. Like, they rotate in some guys that you're just like, okay, sick. Like, is Gums going to be back and hurting some of this production? JoJo Earl started coming on. Do I think JoJo Earl maybe gets more work? Maybe. I mean, it's one of those situations. You know who plays a lot for this team? I played Coy Moore that week. He did nothing. Like, I've played so many of these different guys. You know who gets work, though, and I will say, if you're punting at 3K, let's say you needed a 3K crapper, Irvin is on the field. I will say that. Irvin is on the field. Who's also on the field? Lyons. Tayshawn Lyons comes on the field. I'm open to it, but just know you could get a 0. So if you're punting, it's UNLV wide receiver all day long. I think that's how you punt, is with one of those guys. And that's your option to punt. And then that gets you into that range somewhere in there. I think it's reasonable to say you want to play Sherrod, but I don't know that this is how people are going to go anyway. Cancel. Can I do, let's see, if I go Retzloff, with Calandria. Where's that get me to? Trying to see what it gets me. If I can get to see, I can't get to these guys, but I think for the most part you're playing that. Maybe you go Bennett. That's possible. Like I said, I think you're going to end up game stacking. I don't think you try to piece together this, oh, I'm going to play this and this. Now, granted, I do think you're going to want to try to get some of this where you pair these two. It's just a question of how do you want to pair them. Maybe you end up making it a 1 QB slate. I don't think so. I don't think that's a smart play because you'd need a skill player to outscore the quarterbacks. And I don't think you have one from that standpoint because, like, the combination of Wayne Knight, like, I'd probably rather play Madsen, but I don't know. I think I'm gonna play around with it more. But yeah, fun little slate. It's something that'll be good to get some fun stuff, play around with a little bit here. All right, moving into Saturday on DK here. BYU taking on Texas Tech. I'm not going to play any single BYU player. I can tell you that right now. I don't care what the price is. 7.6 on Bachmeier. No, thank you. 50.5 over under in this one. 32 Texas Tech. 18.5 for BYU. I just don't think BYU can beat Texas Tech. So it's not a game stack situation for me. I don't even know that I want to play Bayer and Morton at 6.7. The upside is there, but he has to throw for 303 to access it. And I don't know that this is the spot that I want to try to access it. Otherwise, Cameron Dickey, he's fine. I mean, he's another one of those, like, he's going to get me 18 to 20 and I feel okay with it. I'm not playing LJ Martin at 72. It's just not his spot. And then Williams, I like at 59 because he has ceiling. He has as much ceiling as Dickey, but the floor is not as high. I like Williams at 59. He'd be a good salary filler for me in that spot. We're going to have to keep an eye on Chase Roberts. If Chase Roberts plays, I'm interested at 4.9K. That's too cheap for him. I like that. Eakin has been a constant source of disappointment and heartache for me the entire season. This will probably be the time that he pops off. Carter gets a ton of targets from that tight end position. I would be interested in Carter. Virgil he had that one big touchdown game, but for the most part, it's been a constant stream of Caleb Douglas games lately. Do have interest in Douglas, but it would only be as a stack for me personally. Kingston's their top option, but Texas Tech is nasty on defense. I think you can take shots. I'd prefer to take shots on Roberts, but Roberts does have a hamstring issue. He's probably going to end up being out. If he's out, I do have interest in JoJo Phillips and Carson Ryan. They're going to be targeted far more and then Carson Ryan at 3.9 is a pretty solid pivot there to be able to get some exposure in this spot. But yeah, I would say JoJo Phillips is largely the beneficiary if Chase Roberts were to miss again. All right, this is the game that's going to get forgotten, and I don't know that there's necessarily anything great in this spot, given that Daquan Finn left the team. Well, actually, there might be. I'm just looking at it, and I think there is something that we're going to want to play. It's got a 43.5 over-under, 23 for Western Mich, 20.5 for Miami of Ohio. Now, Miami of Ohio, known for its defense. Western Michigan, known for its defense as well. Brock Lowry's too cheap at 6.5K. The man's a walking 20-point game. Yes, he can't throw extremely well, but most of these are outdoor games. But he's running for roughly 100 yards and a touchdown every week. So it's going to be hard not to want to play Brock Lowry in the dome in this spot. So that's cheap. He's definitely the favorite quarterback out of these guys right now. Henry Hessen, they tried out at quarterback. It did not work. They went to Gotkowski. He's not terrible. He's not terrible. I want to pay 6.1 for him? I probably prefer Lowry. Lowry's got a massive floor. Western Michigan pretty good on defense. So I probably prefer Lowry, but your punt QB is probably coming from this game. Let's be real. I think that's probably where your punt QB comes from. Buckley is their top running back, but he splits work and he hadn't been particularly super effective on the season. I'd be nervous about that. Brunson is going to be your top guy for Miami of Ohio. 5.3 is fair, but the touchdown equity has been terrible. That's just maybe. It's based off of the fact that Kenny Tracy's out. Kenny Tracy, man, I wish we had him in this game. That would be more fun there for sure. DeJounte Jones, yeah. See, he's stealing the touchdowns. That's the problem. DeJounte Jones is stealing your touchdowns. Brunson's just kind of workhorsing you down there at 5.3. It's a weird. It ends up being a weird game. Cam Perry is definitely the top option in this team. 4.8K, very fair price on him. I like that. I'd be willing to play Cam Perry at 4.8. Top option for Western Mich. Now, you do not need a stack Brock Lowry, but we know where the ball's going when he throws it, and it's only going to Tyleik Williams. Yes, he's had some down weeks, but there are some spikes in here. It's been a lot of bad weather. That Eastern Mich game had terrible weather. They only ran the ball. They've done that quite a few times here of late where Lowry hasn't really thrown it. He's got ceiling, though. He's your big play threat. If he's going to hit anybody for a big one, it's going to be Tyleik Williams. And Miami of Ohio has struggled on the back end a lot more than anybody notices in normal. Cole Weaver would be my second option personally. I think Weaver's a fairly talented player. I liked him to actually be the number one in this offense coming into the season. I don't have issues playing Gotkowski with even Perry and Weaver, but Weaver would definitely be my pairing. I'm not playing Keith Reynolds. That's just no. I like Weaver at 4.5. Probably like Weaver at 4.5 as much as I like Perry. So I don't mind either ones, but that's kind of where I would limit my exposure to. I would prefer to play Gotkowski doubles, maybe a single, and then Lowry is the bring back for me. But Lowry's got a good price. Gotkowski's got a good price. I think you should not ignore this Miami of Ohio Western Michigan game for sure. Georgia taking on Alabama. 47.5 over under in this one. This game every year comes in low and gets weird. So you throw everything out. This is one of those, it comes in, it usually has a low total, and then it shoots out. 25-point projection on Georgia, 22.5 for Bama. Bama has no run game. Excuse me. I didn't finish work till 2 a.m. and I got up at 7. Stockton at 8.3. He was awful last week. Expect a bounce back here. Simpson was fine. He's at 8.1. I'm going to game stack this game. I know I will. It's not going to be in single entry. But I'm going to game stack this game. And I'm going to like Nate Frazier because he's looked amazing. And at 5.6, Nate Frazier might end up being a guy that I play in a good bit of lineups because I don't love the running back situation in this game. I don't love Bama's running backs. We just saw the running backs in this game. They're kind of poo-poo. And then, it feels like Nate Frazier and Jacoby Williams are going to feel pretty good unless Jamari Taylor comes in ridiculously cheap or Nate Shepard. I like Nate Shepard a lot. I can't play these other guys. Josh McCray's playing a good bit last week. At 4K, he's probably you're going to end up being the punt option at running back because Bowens has been banged up, and I don't know that we really see too much of Bowens here. He didn't even play last week. against Georgia Tech. It was a McCray-Frazier split. Frazier's the most talented of the bunch, but McCray more likely to find the box. And at 4K, it's kind of a worthwhile shot. I'm not playing Ryan Williams. I will continue to do that. If Ryan Williams beats me, Ryan Williams beats me. But I just don't think. Is there a difference between Ryan Wingo and Ryan Williams? Both struggling with drops. Wingo's been more productive than Williams. They're not playing Ryan Williams a full complement of snaps. So I would rather play Jeremy Bernard. I know he had a bad week in the Iron Bowl. I got no issues if you want to play Jeremy Bernard. I got no issues. You want to drop Isaiah Horton in here. Horton, here's a who. He survived on the 3 touchdowns. He's very touchdown dependent. I will tell you that right now. He's touchdown dependent. Zach Branch is an insane play at 4.7. I mean, that's just a lock and load. He's going to be extremely popular at 4.7 because he gets so many targets and they're all short area targets. I don't think people are going to play Noah Thomas coming off that donut. Rightfully so. His price went up and he had a 0. He destroyed me, but I'll go back to the well. I got no issues doing that. And going Stockton. I got no issues bringing it back. You know, these 3 play a good bit, but Lottie Brooks will be on the field. He kind of takes Ryan Williams off somewhat. So I don't mind Lottie Brooks as a shot. I don't mind doubling it back and going with like a Bernard and let's just say Bernard and Horton maybe even, and then bring it back with Simpson. I don't mind going quad stacks here and then just paying up for running backs. But I will have something like that. I'll play around with it though, but I doubt Ryan Williams is going to be a guy that I see in my team because it's just kind of where I land on that. Dylan Bell's fine. He's always live for one big play, but it's risky. So you start getting into that type of stuff there. I don't think Colby Young's back this week. I don't know why they keep listing him as questionable. I doubt he's back. All right, Ohio State taking on Indiana. This is game of the week. 48.5 over under. 27 Ohio State, 21.5 Indiana. Why? Why? This is why I like this. Because this is my reaction. Okay, everybody's going to do that. That's going to be the first click for every single player. 6.8? Really? 6.8 in a dome? Yeah, I know he has no rushing upside, but that's the easiest click of all time. He's a better play than Bayron, and it's not close. He's better than both guys in this game for the price. He's better than Mendoza for the price. That seems ridiculous. I think a lot of ownership's going to Saiyan now. It's quite disappointing. I really do think these guys are actually too cheap. The MAC championship games, like Brock Lowry, that feels like the chalk build right now from where I'm sitting. I don't know what the prices are over here, but weather's always an issue in Charlotte this time of year. It's cold and wet usually for the ACC title game. It's awful, and there's 10,000 people in the stands because it's cold and wet. I think this is going to be your chalk build, probably. That'd be my guess. I think that's your chalk start for sure. Bo Jackson is a freak and amazing, and I had been calling it for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks that we were going to get the 100-yard multiple touchdown game. We got it. Now he's just taken over. I mean, 6'3", you could play him. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think a lot of people do end up there, but I'm going to stay away from him being black. I don't trust Roman Hemby. I don't trust Kalen Black's role. I don't particularly trust the Ohio State backs. I'm probably going to be away a little bit because of the Saiyan factor and how cheap he is, but I will play some Bo Jackson. I won't touch any of the other guys in that game. All right. I think Jeremiah and Tate doubles are in play. I don't think you could take away these guys. They're too good. Now I know Jeremiah should not have had that touchdown. They did take away Jeremiah, so maybe they figured something out. But that touchdown was that 35-yarder, and that was a touchback, not a touchdown. I think you do get exposure to both in this spot. And if I was going to get exposure to anybody else, it would be Max Clare. He's very much so coming on strong at 3.8. He could be a fun difference maker in this spot to get different exposure. Maybe you end up with something like that, or maybe you go here and then you just hope that they are able to find a way with D'Angelo Pons to shut down Jeremiah, and then you're able to get some leverage, we'll say. But easily, you can definitely just do that. It's no issue. Surratt came back, looked good. Thought he played well. He can be. I would prefer him to Omar Cooper. Omar Cooper's playing great. I just don't know that he has the same upside that Surratt does. EJ Williams is questionable. If EJ Williams is in, it's just a pivot punt play. Otherwise, it would be, where is my guy? Did he get hurt? 3K. Okay. I don't hate Charlie Becker as a 3K punt, but I don't know that he gets because of this. His big games came with Surratt out. So it'd be kind of hard pressed to believe that with Surratt back that he ends up being the play of the day there. That's a tough spot. I mean, Sayan's too cheap. That's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous price. Everybody's going to play that, which I think you just get different. 20 max, you just go away. I don't think I would overexpose myself to Sayan because the floor is so low, but the ceiling is there. Duke taking on UVA. This actually has the highest over-under of this slate at 57.5, 30.5 for Virginia, 27 for Duke. I'll be interested in Morris again. He beat up on Duke a couple weeks back. It's hard not to go back to the well. Duke's terrible on the back end. At 7.4, I will have interest. Mensa also at 7, I'll have interest. Virginia's defense is getting worse. Mensa is also throwing for less yards, but he's going to have to chuck the heck out of it. I'll have interest in both, especially on a short slate like this. The ceiling does go to Morris in this spot. Jamari Taylor is priced up. I did not like him in this Duke game a couple weeks ago, and that 78-yarder just hurt my heart. But I will be interested in Jamari Taylor. He catches so many passes that it gives him such a floor. At 8.7, I think people will go there and lean on that to an extent. I think he'll be one of the more popular guys on the slate. Nate Shepard at 6'7", I do have interest. So he did not have a good game against UVA the first time. I will largely chalk that up to the UVA's defense being extremely healthy and good with Cam Robinson. Robinson's now out. That was the leader of that defense. I think we start to see cracks in that UVA defense a little bit. And they were giving up the run a little bit to Virginia Tech. They were running the football well with their third string awful running back. So I do have interest in Shepard in this spot. I don't want to play any of these other guys. I don't trust Anderson Castle for anything. Trell Harris had an awesome game against Duke the first time. He helped me win the 7K. I'm going to have to go there again at 5K. That's too cheap. Cam Ross is a fabulous pivot play. He had 7 for 63 against Duke the first time. I think double stacking with Ross and Harris is a smart option. Jamal Adreen, I'm not particularly interested in. He's definitely the third pass catching option. If I was going to take a shot, it'd be on Ennis at 3.5, but I don't think you need to in this spot. It's a very tight rotation for this UVA wide receiving core. I think it's Harris and Ross. If you're going to double stack Chandler Morris, that will be a definite way that I end up playing that game. Barkate had a good game against UVA, but he hasn't been great lately. I think he could show up in this spot. I will have interest there. Hazley has been playing well, but I'm not super interested here. I'll probably have a shot or two on that one. Quayshawn Brown, I'll have a shot or two. He's capable of popping off. Higgins, meh, I'd probably rather pay down. Well, it depends. If Andrew Anthony's out, I'll have more interest in Samir Higgins, but probably not. That's probably something I'll end up avoiding. Um, yeah, that's kind of where I'm looking on this Duke game right away. But yeah, I think there's value in the Duke game. We need to look at the weather though, because that thing gets weird every year. So we got dome, warm weather, and this nonsense where it could be a weather impacted game. So I will be back tomorrow. I'm gonna see if FanDuel has anything up, and we'll start working through that. Similarly, I'm just gonna kind of combine both together, Friday and Saturday slates. We'll just hit Friday, hit Saturday, and we'll get the core plays out for DK on Thursday, and then we'll get the cores in for FanDuel on Friday. Hopefully FanDuel's slate is actually okay. This DK stuff looks pretty good. I'm actually pretty happy with the pricing, except for probably Saiyan, but I think that's going to end up playing to my advantage. So I'm going to try to take advantage of that. So I'll be back tomorrow with FanDuel first look stuff, going through everything. Good luck to everybody. I guess we don't really have a slate tonight, which is nice. So just kind of looking forward to that. And pray for me with Bob Chesney leaving, because now I got to go find a new coach at JMU, and we've hit too many home runs in a row. I don't know how many times you can hit a home run. We seem to be the Shohei Ohtani of G5 teams and FCS teams at this point. But